British Netflix, you've done it again. You've created a remarkable miniseries that's not only a technical masterpiece, but an important conversation starter. Adolescence, which is the #1 series on Netflix right now, tells the story of a 13-year-old boy named Jamie who is arrested for the M-word of his female classmate. The miniseries, primarily starring Stephen Graham and Owen Cooper, has 4 episodes that are all shot in one single take. The story of Adolescence was inspired by the real-life epidemic of knife crime in the UK. The series is produced by Jack Thorne and Stephen Graham, who also starred in the series. Stephen said that he was reading the newspaper one day and that he read a story about a young boy knifing a young girl. Not long after that, he saw the same similar type of story on the news happening in the other side of the country, and he said that it made him feel very cold inside. This made him and his collaborator Jack realized that there was something really wrong. There was an incident where a young boy allegedly a girl. It shocked me. I was thinking, what's going on? What's happening in society where a girl to, what's the inciting incident here? And then it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again. I really just wanted to shine a light on it and ask, why is this happening today? What is going on? How have we come to this? And I'm really sorry, guys. I'm gonna have to censor myself here. Unfortunately, these apps are very stupid and they don't let you just freely talk about important issues. The knife crimes have gotten so bad that the UK Prime Minister warns people that loners, misfits, and young men in their bedrooms are now considered terroristic threats. I don't know about you guys, but back in my day, parents were mainly worried about a stranger on the internet preying on their children, talking to us online. But nowadays, the internet poses so many more dangers, including radicalizing young boys and brainwashing them that they then go on to commit heinous acts of violence. The filmmakers wanted to explore the influx behind these crimes. And as the creator and the writer mentions, the show is not a whodunit, it's a whydunit. The story is about 13-year-old Jamie, who is arrested for deleting his female classmate. The series is only 4 episodes, but it shows how the family deals with the crime. At first, we're just as confused as the family to Jamie's guilt, but the series quickly shows us that everything is not how it seems. It shows us the investigation and the psychology behind what Jamie may or may not have done. And unbelievably, each episode is 1 take long, and you see the entire story happening in real time. The way each character weaves in and out of the narrative, how the camera changes location is completely seamless and really is technical mastery in the world of filmmaking for those who are not aware. When I was watching this shit, I was like, it took me like 10 minutes where I was like, wait, is this all 1 take? I knew for a film like this that the rehearsal had to be extremely extensive and intense, and the producer, writer, star said as much, that they rehearsed every moment, every action moving around the space. Their goal was to shoot 2 takes per day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, repeated for 5 days. So basically they would have had 10 chances at each episode. And of course, there were more takes than that because, let's say somebody messes up 15 minutes through and they have to start over. I can only imagine if that was me on set, I'd be freaking sweating bullets. I primarily work behind the camera on the production side, but I have acted in a few things before. But as an actor, oh my gosh, like that, if you know your lines, you know your lines, but the way you will have to be in the moment and be present the entire time really is a skill. Because yeah, it's entirely possible you might get caught up and you might forget a line, but it's really important to be present and listen. What is the other character in the scene saying? Okay, for you to respond. Even if you forget a line, what are they saying? How do you respond to that? Like, it's just so crazy. Like, they would have had to really, really lock it the in. I can only imagine how intense the set was. And any accolade possible needs to go to this little guy, Owen Cooper, man. He played the character of Jamie at just 14 years old. And can you believe this is his first time acting? And to do it all in 1 take? Dang! The producer said that they watched thousands of tapes before they got to Owen. Episode 3 was just so unnerving. Like, Before this, honestly, I was kind of skeptical whether he did it. This is just a testament to his acting, because I was also skeptical even though we saw him do it on camera. He seemed like he was just too sweet to do such a thing. And then he revealed his true self. This kid seemed like he was becoming a monster for years. Episode 3 was a masterpiece of an episode, and I don't know about anyone else, but it reminded me of that one episode also on Netflix of the Menendez brothers show, where it was just like one solid take of like Eric Menendez testimony, and it was just like a slow zoom in like a interrogation room or whatever. But the way Jamie turned hostile anytime a potential weakness or vulnerability was shown, the way he vacillated between scared little boy to angry, angsty teenage killer, it was super jarring. I honestly couldn't take my eyes off the episode, and it felt like I was holding my breath the whole time. But my favorite moment in the show besides episode 3 was in episode 1, when he told his father that he didn't do it. Just as his father accepts his answer, Owen turns away and has the most subtle duper's delight smirk that like fades just as quickly as it came. If you blink, you'll miss it. And I was just like, damn, that is acting right there. Right here, he's telling his dad, no, I didn't do it. And then as he turns away, he has this slight smirk on his face for tricking his dad. In the series, they explore incel culture, misogyny, and they actually use the terms manosphere and red pill, and they even name Andrew Fake as a person that your children should be kept away from. I don't know if you guys saw that Canadian ad/short film called My Friend Max Hate. And it was basically like a short version of this series that was warning parents about young boys viewing this type of content online. You can find it on TikTok. Just search My Friend Max Hate. Here we are being told it's just the internet. No one thinks like this in real life. It's just not true. Things you read and watch on the internet influence your everyday life. Even me, as a grown, big, hardback woman of 34 years, on a shoot recently, there was a man on set telling me about how women need to be controlled, women shouldn't be working the jobs that we're working, and he was dead ass serious about this. As shown in episode 4, the producer wanted the title character to be from an ordinary family. The parents weren't abusive, this wasn't a slew of toxicity in the household, they're not an alcoholic. And he did this to show that this could happen to anyone. Like so many parents, after their sons commit like this heinous, horrible crime, they say, we didn't see it coming. We had no idea. And honestly, that might not be far from the truth. And the last episode explores the family's dynamic after this act. Earlier in the series, the female detective mentioned that with these types of crimes, the victim always gets forgotten about, but the perpetrator always ends up being famous. And I did feel like a bit at the end that was the case here. I understand that this was not a full circle story or a story about punishment. It's just to make you think about things. But I'm sure I'm not the only one who would have loved a 5th episode deconstructing Jamie's character or how he evolved after just admitting that he was guilty. By the end, the series asks the question, who is to blame? And there's no specific answer. It's everyone's responsibility. Friends, family, school, community. The show is only here to ask questions, but I think some nods to answers would have been helpful for families and parents who want to use this series as a jumping off point to have these important conversations. The series explores the psychological origin of male rage, toxic masculinity, and online misogyny, which I personally think is a fantastic first step in acknowledging and fighting what eventually turns into playing violins against women in the real world. It's not a woman's behavior like walking alone at night or not wearing a short skirt or not getting drunk at a party. Of course, be careful, but we need to remember why we are forced to be careful. And I've always said this, that men have to fix the DV problem, the violence problem. It has to be them. I'm glad that the filmmakers saw this very real problem and decided to drop several $1 million into bringing awareness about it. We still have so long to go, but this is a good first step. The filmmakers have even gone on to publicly advocate to have the series be shown in schools or in parliament. They think that the problem is only going to get worse, and I think so too, especially now in this day and age. And they think that the drama can hopefully snatch people's attention to this critical issue. I'd love to know what you guys think. What was your favorite part of the series? You guys think this is a good first step to combat internet misogyny? And why did the UK have to do it when most of these are in America? Why does our grandfather gotta go and tell us you're not acting right? You know, we should have been the first ones, but